To talk about something on which we've got a lot of views. Everyone is curious about pulse surveys and how to use it effectively to understand what the employee wants on a continuous basis, every quarter on quarter or every month in fact. So let's ask Ruben, what about pulse surveys?
Good question, great question. And primarily the name itself says that pulse means you're trying to check a beat at a time, which means it has to be short, it has to be crisp. You're not trying to answer a lot of questions, but you're trying to answer very specific questions or be very specific about the outcome that you're seeking to understand from the employee, which means that you end up asking particularly about how they are feeling. If you have released a new policy, how do they view that policy? If you have come out with a new method or a new practice, what is the employee view about the same? So pulse surveys are great tool to understand, as they say, the pulse of the organization. They give you an understanding of how well anything has been accepted or how well it is going. It could also give you those dimensions of when you look at it from, say for example, location versus levels or hierarchies. It could also tell you that which locations or which hierarchy levels have accepted certain changes or are happy with the current continuation of the process. Great,
that sounds really nice, and I think for certain sectors like IT, where there has been a lot of attrition, especially from the American MNCs, I'm sure there is a sense of panic and so I think this is a great tool to use. What is your thought? Like, do we need an expert to help with pulse surveys? Because every HRMS now has the option to run surveys.
Okay, very important question. So, as we know that the criticality of any answer lies in the question. How well the question has been framed would help us to answer how well we have received the answer or how effective the answer is in replying to or in responding to what has been sought. So you do need an expert, you do need someone who understands psychometry to help you design the question for two reasons. One, you do not have the luxury of asking too many questions, especially in a pulse survey. The problem is that you want to do things faster, and the moment you want to do things fast, you want to get insights fast, you have to have very limited amount of questions so that insights can be easily drawn. It's like saying, if I ask a generic question like how are you feeling today, and you have five specific answers, it's very easy to hence draw insight from it, saying that this is the cluster which is feeling happy versus this cluster which is feeling terribly dissatisfied. Now, the moment you make it short, the moment you make it limited, it brings in the absolute need for a good question to be framed.
Absolutely. I've had CHROs who've said that they've got 50-60 questions and that employees just don't seem to fill them up. So yes, to avoid non-participation in surveys, you would need an expert like Ruben to help you devise these surveys. Are pulse surveys also a good way to check ongoing engagement in employees? Because after all, engagement surveys only happen once a year, right?
Absolutely right. In the sense that, see, when you are looking at engagement, you are looking at people willing to offer disproportionate amount of service or productivity. When would someone do that? Only when they're terribly motivated to do so. And the fact that a pulse survey can tell you at every stage by stage exactly what are the motivation levels. So the core purpose behind a pulse survey has always been or primarily been engagement. Even when someone is unhappy with say a policy the pulse survey would show a dip and hence would show typically a fall in the engagement levels. There's this very famous survey which was done, I think, in US, and they said that whenever Sachin Tendulkar played cricket, there was a dip by almost 5% in the work productivity because people love cricket and people love Sachin Tendulkar. Similar thing would obviously also happen probably for, say, a Roger Federer or a Serena Williams playing the game. So you do have, it becomes a very good metric for engagement. But again, put in the right question, run your pulse surveys at regular intervals. You could truly not need to have a separate engagement survey. The pulse survey itself could be a great indicator of engagement.
So what I hear you say is that pulse surveys could be run, say, every month or every quarter, small sets of questions, and they may not be the same set of questions, right? Also, I have been wondering that, if you have an HRMS, do you really need a PexiTest type of system for a pulse survey?
I would still suggest to have it for two primary reasons. One, of course, the way we design the surveys, the way we capture, and also the customer experience is much more better. For the simple example that in our case, we have the scope to convert the questions into any language of a choice, which I'm sure any HRMS system would not have so. Secondly, the fact that you need to not only, it's not the survey which is important, it is the outcome which is important. And when you need to draw insights, you need to have systems which can draw those insights, which can slice and dice your data and give you proper insights. So it is more effective. I would not say that you do not need, otherwise you need to pull out the data and hand it over to us to basically do the post-survey analysis.
Absolutely. So to conclude, if you feel that your organization needs some sort of pulse survey and you want to have a conversation around it, I do hope you will reach us out.
Absolutely. Do reach us out. Do look for our other videos in this series, and we will be very happy to engage and offer our knowledge and services for your organization. Till then, have a nice day.
Have a nice day.